Very sad news to wake up to this morning. I guess, yeah. I mean, how do you take this morning's announcement?
Obviously, a very sad announcement this morning, but there's been a lot of reflections. I've already spoken to a number of people who have very fond memories. The Queen obviously visited Dubbo twice, back in 1992 and 1954. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the Queen on either of those visits. The first visit, of course, I wasn't born, but the second visit, I didn't get to see the Queen.
1954, her first trip to Australia, visited Dubbo. I think she was 27 at the time, and yeah, quite a significant trip to Dubbo. And yeah, tell us what happened during that first tour.
Yeah, 1954, Les Ford was the mayor at the time, and obviously the mayor welcomed her into town. She only came for a few hours. She was here from about 3:30 till 5 o'clock, and in that time she had a pretty jam-packed session. They actually moved the date of the show. It was in February 1954 she came. The show is traditionally in May, but because of that visit, they actually moved the entire show, which was quite significant for that short time frame. But she then got to officially open the show, which I'm sure the Show Society would have been very proud of. She watched some wood chopping, a bit of shearing, a few shearing contests, for example, and then on she went back and flew back on to her next engagement. She went to the War Memorial. The president of the RSL presented the return personnel there, and again there would have been many more return personnel, you can imagine, back in 1954. So a significant visit, and I haven't actually spoken to anyone that was there at that visit in 1954, but already I've talked to some people that were around in the 1992 visit.
And I think at that visit, did she tour the zoo? I believe that would have been quite a high-profile visitor to our famous zoo.
Yeah, exactly right. And the zoo opened in 1977, so it would have only been still fairly new in its life cycle and not that well known, but to have the Queen come along, and you can imagine when the Queen comes along, the assembled media are huge, so it would have been fantastic exposure for Dubbo and for the zoo. But in 92, again, it was a one-day visit. She had a full day rather than an hour and a half there, but we had her in the city. She visited the School of Distance Education. So again, I think that was important for her to see just how far-reaching our education facilities were. Obviously the zoo, and again, the mayor of the day then, Tony McGrane, would have had the pleasure of actually talking to the Queen and actually meeting the Queen there. So again, many people I've spoken to have fond memories of that time. And at that same visit, she actually did some other tours around the region, and I've spoken to people from Burke, for example, who experienced the Queen's visit, and just all the fanfare that goes along with that, but the exposure you get and just the protocols. I think that's been one of the really interesting things, just understanding and knowing the protocols when the Queen does come along and visit.
Yeah, great insights, Matthew. Really appreciate the chat. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.